Hey guys, in this video I wanted to do a comparison of the original Game Boy Color with front light mod with LOCA versus say a GB Color from KongFeng, which you can order from AliExpress. For those who don't know, this is the GB Color. It's essentially a Game Boy clone that will play original Game Boy games, Game Boy Color, as well as having a built-in some built-in games. There's it claims to have 188 games in one here. However, it's more like 60, but even that's still a lot. There's your typical games like Tetris, Dr. Mario, Super Mario Land. So it has a lot of the classics covered in here: Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, etc. And it will also play your cartridges as well. So if you're not interested in playing the built-in games, just stick in a cartridge and it will load that as well. So I just wanted to do a video showing you the differences between the two systems here. This is the original Game Boy Color with a front light mod and LOCA installed. Now LOCA is liquid optically correct adhesive that's usually sandwiched between the front light and the LCD screen to help disperse the light, evenly distribute it. And even with the LOCA, you can see that it looks faded. It's not as good as a true backlight or a backlit screen, and you can see there's a lot of bright lights on the bottom here. And what you're seeing on the screen here is exactly what I'm seeing in real life. I'm looking through my camera's LCD right now, and in the top left here of this Game Boy Color, I kind of messed up. I didn't add enough LOCA, so it ended up looking like that in the top left. Kind of screw that up, but anyways, not a big deal because I don't use this Game Boy Color anymore, especially when I have the GB Boy Color. So the GB Boy Color is a hardware clone of the Game Boy Color, so that means that you can even run things like the EverDrive. I have an EverDrive GB flash card in here, and it works pretty well. The same way it would work if it was in a Game Boy. And there is the two screens. It's clear that one is better than the other. The only bad thing about the KongFeng GB Boy Color is the fact that the LCD screen is a little bit squashed. So if you look at the original Game Boy Color, it's a square display, whereas the one on the left, it's slightly smaller horizontally. Vertically. It's a little bit squashed. The games play at full speed. The controls are really nice. They're very firm. They're not as mushy as my Game Boy Color, probably because the Game Boy Color that I have here is 15 years old. So these feel very firm, and they feel really nice still. So in terms of pricing, the KongFeng was $27.99 from AliExpress. I was able to buy it from a seller who has some of these in stock in their US warehouse, so I was able to get it pretty quick. I got it in 9 days versus getting it from China. Typically, it takes 20 to a month, right, to get here. So I got it quicker, and for $27.99, that's actually a pretty good bargain, considering the front light mod for the Game Boy Color is like $12. You have to buy the adhesive, the LOCA, which is like $5. Tack on shipping and tack on the cost it takes to, the time it takes for you to mod it. It's a lot cheaper to go with the KongFeng. These are the two side by side, and you can clearly see which one's better. Let's focus more on the GB Boy Color now. I'm going to turn it off and show you what I have. So in here is a EverDrive. The EverDrive GB. This is a flash card for Game Boys. It will load Game Boy and Game Boy Color ROMs on here. And then it'll let you load them. And the KongFeng, which is a Game Boy compatible device, will be able to run this just fine with no issues at all. So if you buy one of these, I think I think I got them for like $57 from AliExpress. And again, free shipping. And this one took like a month to get here because it came from China, but still worth the wait. Definitely pick one of these up. You get one of these and one of these GB Boy Colors, you have pretty much the ultimate Game Boy on the go system. So the Game Boy the GameBoy Color actually comes with built-in games. It claims to have like 188 games built in, but it's more like 60. So if you turn it on without a cartridge inside, it will actually give you a menu with the games that are in the built into the system. So these are some of the games. I'll try to run through them quick here. It pretty much has all the games covered, you know, the Tetris, Dr. Mario, Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, all the ones that you'd want to play are in here. But there are a lot of duplicates, and they just are like hacks or different versions of the same game. So, you know, as I scroll through here, you've probably seen Dr. Mario a couple of times already, or Pac-Man a couple of times already. And you hit the B button to skip pages. So that's pretty much the end of the list, and we're back to the start of it. So let's load Tetris, if I could find it. There it is. And hit A to load it. And there it is. It's Tetris, classic game. So if you don't have a cartridge, you don't have to have any cartridges. You just play without one, and you'll load up the menu to load the built-in games. And of course, you can stick an original Game Boy game in there. So I'm going to turn off this Game Boy Color, take out the cartridge that is in here, and show you that here is Tetris DX. We're going to stick this in here and fire it up. So it's loading the cartridge itself. So now I turned down the volume, but obviously the volume does work. You can use headphones. It's got the same ports as the Game Boy Color. So it's got the switch on the side. Let's do this here. Switch on the side there. The back. Very similar shape, but the GameBoy Color on the left is a little bit bigger. Slightly bigger. And the sides, so you got your link port and your volume control. I'll turn up the volume. So turn up the volume there. And the front. Now, for those who are thinking, can you put a GameBoy Color inside a Game Boy Color case or housing? You can't, because the buttons don't really line up. So it's roughly the same size, but if you try to take the PCB board and screen out and stick it in here, it won't fit. So here I have both of them out in the sun, direct sunlight, and you can tell that you can see the Game Boy Color quite clearly on the right hand side, and on the left hand side, the GB Boy, you can't see anything. Even though it's turned on, there's a backlight, but it's not bright enough to overcome the sun. So in this case, the Game Boy Color screen works the best. So here I have both of them in the shade. The GameBoy Color on the left, and you can see it's a lot brighter and better looking. Whereas on the right, the Game Boy Color, it's faded, washed out. The GameBoy Color from KongFeng is a lot. I think it's an amazing device, especially for the price. You're getting so much value from it for, you know, $30. It's definitely the one to get if you're looking for a Game Boy device to play. So yeah, that's my review, and I hope it helps you in deciding what to get. See you next time.